Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you're having a fantastic day so far. So we have some more payments going out to certain Social Security beneficiaries today. We're going to be going over who is going to be receiving these payments. Plus, we're going to be looking ahead at the payment schedule next month in September as well, where SSI recipients are not going to be receiving one payment, but they're actually going to be receiving two payments. Also, we're going to be looking at House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. He has been teasing possibly opening up an impeachment inquiry on the current president and Joe Biden. So we're going to be going over that as well. And then finally, of course, we have the first Republican debate coming up tonight. We're going to be going over that as well. But before we go ahead and dive into the main content of today's video, if you wouldn't mind helping me out real quickly by just giving this video a like, that just helps out with the good old YouTube algorithm. And also consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. Okay, so we have the first Republican debate tonight that's going to be aired on Fox News from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it should be interesting. Of course, we will not be having the former president and Donald Trump show up there. Of course, I think that is a pretty big mistake. I think that Trump should be debating the rest of his Republican colleagues, just like I think that Joe Biden probably should be debating his Democratic colleagues who he's going up against and Robert Kennedy Jr., as well as Marianne Williamson, but both of these people are deciding not to debate their colleagues because they're saying, hey, I have this huge league here, I'm way above the rest, it doesn't really matter whether or not I show up. I can see their point there, but again, it's going to be very hard for Trump to complain about Biden deciding not to debate him if Trump himself is deciding not to debate his colleagues tonight. So instead of debating, of course, Donald Trump is going to be having a pre-recorded interview with Tucker Carlson, which is going to be running around the same time. This, of course, is pretty much like a slap in the face. You know, Tucker Carlson got fired by Fox News, and now he's going to be running up against Fox News at the exact same time, interviewing Donald Trump. So it should be interesting to see how all of that plays out. Now, of course, one person to look out for tonight is Vivek Ramaswamy. He is an up-and-coming Republican candidate in this race. Before, he wasn't really well known about at all. He was polling at below 1%, and now he's really surging up in the polls. In some polls he's third place, and in some polls he's as high as second place, even surpassing Ron DeSantis. Now, of course, there are a lot of controversies around him now, or, media is running a lot of hit pieces on the guy. They're basically trying to claim that he's peddling all these conspiracy theories. And here is an instance where CNN was trying to say that he was claiming that 9/11 was an inside job, basically trying to make him out to be some type of crazy person. Watch.
A report in The Atlantic that you gave an interview to, you said, quote, "I think it is legitimate to say how many federal agents were on the planes that hit the Twin Towers. Maybe the answer is zero. It probably is zero for all I know, right? I have no reason to think it was anything other than zero. But if we're doing a comprehensive assessment of what happened on 9/11, we have a 9/11 commission. Absolutely, there should be an answer the public knows the answer to." Explain to me what you meant there.
This is really, it's funny. I mean, The Atlantic is playing the same game as CNN. It's funny. What I said is on January 6th, I do believe that there were many federal agents in the field and we deserve to know who they are. On 9/11, what I've said is that the government lied. And this is incontrovertible evidence, Caitlin. The government lied about Saudi Arabia's involvement. There was a Saudi spy named al-Bayoumi who they lied, and the government lied, and the 9/11 Commission lied. We know that because declassified reports in 2021 revealed that al-Bayoumi was indeed. What's that?
Yeah, the report that President Biden declassified. Yes. But your quote here, are you telling me that the quote is wrong
20 years later,
yeah. But are you telling me that your quote is wrong here because it says how many federal agents were on the planes at the Twin Towers?
Yeah, when I actually, and this is just lifting the curtain on how media works again, I asked that reporter to send the recording because it was on the record. He refused to do it. But we had a free-flowing conversation. The truth is there are lies the government has told about 9/11, but it's not the ones that somebody put in my mouth. It's the one that I articulated, which is that Saudi Arabia, absolutely, their intelligence was involved in 9/11. And that's a difficult thing you're not supposed to say. The facts back that up. Separately, as it relates to January 6th, same story all over again. There were federal agents in the field. I think they've lied about how many there were, and we, the people, deserve the truth, despite the layers of distortion that exist in the media to prevent us from getting it.
You're saying that you were misquoted here, so we will take you at your word. Yes. You're saying that you were misquoted here, but you were asked another time recently about whether or not 9/11 was an inside job. This is what your response was.
9/11 inside job or exactly how the government tells us?
I don't believe the government has told us the truth. Again, I'm driven by evidence and data. What I've seen in the last several years is we have to be skeptical of what the government does tell us. I haven't seen evidence to the contrary, but do I believe everything the government told us about it? Absolutely not.
Last two
I believe
questions.
the 9/11 Commission? Absolutely not.
I mean, Vic, I think people look at those comments. They look at what you said in the Atlantic, which you say you were misquoted. They look at comments that you've made about the Federal Reserve adding zeros to media companies' bank accounts. And I mean, it looks like you're floating conspiracy theories with this defense of I'm just asking questions.
Well, when you actually quote me, those are my words, and I stand by them. So somebody else quoting me, putting words in my mouth, I have a problem with. But those words I stand by. You want to know why? Because we literally know the FBI, the 9/11 Commission, the U.S. government on down told us specifically that Saudi Arabia had no involvement. 20 plus years later, quietly declassifying documents showing that not only did Saudi Arabia have involvement, it was a Saudi intelligence agent that received two of those terrorists that crashed planes on 9/11, killing
But the
Americans
question was, is
on American
9/11 an
soil.
inside job? And you didn't say no.
Caitlin,
That's what
you
I
just
think people are looking at.
Caitlin, you know what's really funny? You literally just played that, and you could play it for your audience again. He said, or do you believe everything the government has told us? And my answer was, I do not believe everything the government has told us
But you see
because
the
they
point.
lied.
The point is
and
that
I know
it leaves
this game
the door
comes up,
open.
Caitlin,
It's
every
not
time
a
there's
game.
an outsider who comes in.
It leaves the door open, Vivek. It leaves the door open, and someone who's
Caitlin,
a 9/11 truther
we
looks
have a
at that and
government that
says, that's
systematically
exactly what I
lies.
believe. You
That
think the
was a-
government's
that was
lying
a
about
comedian
9/11?
who- I think the government has systematically and for a very long time lied about 9/11. And I think I'm the
What
only
part
presidential
exactly
candidate
are
who's
they
told us
lying
the
about?
truth. Saudi Arabia's involvement. It is absolutely true.
But you don't
that Saudi
think that
Arabia
9/11 was an inside
involved
job,
in 9/11.
correct?
Of course not. And I've
Okay.
never said it. But the
But
media
that's a pretty
filters do
simple
create
answer.
a lot of
It's not
falsehoods.
a media filter.
but
You have to
that's the
stop
truth.
blaming the media. I'm asking you about comments that you have made.
And I'm telling you that the comments I made, the ones you just played, are indeed what I believe, which was not that 9/11 was an inside job, but that Saudi Arabia absolutely was involved, and our government for 20 years lied to the American people about it.
There was an entire
That is
9/11
hard
Commission
fact,
report
actually.
on this.
Yes, and it lied, and it was false. And in fact, you know where that's coming out, Caitlin? There's now a case, a federal case in the Southern District of New York, where the government of Saudi Arabia is being sued by victims of families.
their
That's why
families,
this is
yes.
resurfacing itself. It is relevant, and it turns
But
out
there's a difference
in
in
those
asking
declassified
questions
documents
about Saudi
that the
Arabia's
government lied.
involvement and the government's involvement, and then pushing this idea that whenever what your comment about who was on the plane and then was 9/11 an inside job where you did not say no earlier. That's why it's important to clarify those comments, because otherwise it feels like you're towing the line when it comes to conspiracy theories.
Caitlin, I am guilty as charged that I do not follow the establishment super PAC donor-approved script on these questions, but I am speaking truth, grounded in fact, at every step of the way, and that's what's really elicited something of an anaphylactic reaction of the kind we saw in 2016 against a different candidate. But this time I'm going to be grounded in principles and conviction, not just vengeance and grievance, which is exactly
you say you're
how we
grounded
will
in evidence.
reunite
That's
this
just
country.
simply what we.
So again, that first debate is going to be tonight for the Republican primary. Ramaswamy is definitely going to be an interesting candidate. Now, whether or not he can actually ever end up surpassing Trump, probably more than likely not. It definitely seems like Trump has a good stronghold within the Republican base, but we'll definitely have to wait and see. But in some other news, of course, we have some more payments going out to certain Social Security beneficiaries today. So according to the Washington Examiner, Social Security update, direct payment worth up to $4,555 goes out to millions in just one day, which of course is today. So if we pull up the payment schedule here on the screen, you can see for August 2023, today, August 23rd, we have more payments going out. These payments are going to be going to those with birthdays falling anywhere between the 21st and 31st of any given month. And that, of course, is going to be the final payment of this month in September. Now, looking ahead until September. So on September 1st, we have the first payments going out. Those are going to be going to those SSI recipients. Then on September 13th, we have some more payments going out. Those are going to be going to those with birthdays falling between the 1st and 10th of any given month. Then on September 20th, payments are going to be going to those with birthdays falling between the 11th and 20th of any given month. And then on September 27th, we have more payments going out. Those are going to those with birthdays falling between the 21st and 31st of any given month. And then finally on September 29th, the final day, the final Friday of the month, we have more payments going out. These again are going to SSI recipients. This is because October 1st is going to be falling on a weekend, and anytime the first of a month falls on a weekend or a holiday, you're going to be getting those payments a little bit earlier. So SSI recipients are going to be receiving 2 payments in September, but because they're receiving 2 payments in September, that simply means they're not going to be receiving any payments in October. So of course, just keep that in mind. Now, in some other news, of course, September is right around the corner and the House is finally going to be back in session. And we have the House Speaker Kevin McCarthy coming out and saying not only is, extending the government funding going to be one of the top priorities, whether that's through a continuing resolution or actually passing all 12 appropriation bills, which is pretty unlikely to happen. But another priority that he may end up actually following through with is opening up an impeachment inquiry on the current president in Joe Biden. So according to the New York Post, Kevin McCarthy teases Biden impeachment inquiry when House reconvenes in September. So House Speaker Kevin McCarthy warned Tuesday that the lower chamber could open an impeachment inquiry into President Biden when the House reconvenes in September if the administration isn't more forthcoming with documents related to his family's overseas business dealings and allegations that he accepted bribes as vice president. McCarthy said, quote, "The thing that holds up whether we do impeachment inquiry provides us the documents we're asking. The whole determination here is how the Bidens handle this. If they provide us the documents, there wouldn't be a need for impeachment inquiry. But if they withhold the documents and fight like they have now to not provide the American public with what they deserve to know, we will move forward with impeachment inquiry when we come back into session," the House Speaker added. McCarthy demanded that the president furnish Congress with documents that show he did not accept a $5 million bribe from Mykola Zalewski, the owner of a Ukrainian gas company Burisma, as alleged by an FBI informant in June of 2020, talked to his son Hunter Biden about his overseas influence peddling operation, or accept foreign money from foreign nationals. So it's certainly going to be interesting to see how all of this plays out. Is Joe Biden going to end up getting impeached? How is that going to affect his re-election campaign in 2024? And once again, it looks like it's going to be Donald Trump versus Joe Biden for the next president in 2024. We'll have to see how all of this plays out. But that's all the news that we have for today's video. I certainly hope that you enjoyed and found value out of it. If you did, again, I would greatly appreciate if you could give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel if you have not already. And I will see you in the next video.